Hey again, everyone, and welcome back to the channel for yet another installment in our new figure showcase series, where, as you know by now, we're taking a look at a newer addition into the collection. So, today, after a little break, we're going back to the world of Star Wars, and in particular, again, the Ahsoka TV show on Disney+. And for this installment, we're going to be looking at Ahsoka Tano herself, the main character. So, look, like I mentioned before, I'm winding down on Star Wars a little bit, but this show came out at the right time when there was a little bit of lull in Marvel and everything, and I enjoyed it. Was it my favorite show? Not at all, but there was an appeal there, especially with the Grand Admiral Thrawn character, which always hung in the background as kind of the linchpin of the show. So look, I wanted to get Ahsoka. I did pass on the one from the Mandalorian show. I wasn't picking up any of the Mandalorian figures at the time. That one was great, but it did have an issue where the arm would break at the elbow joint. So Hot Toys has since reinforced these, so these joints are actually metal, but if you read the instructions, because there is also a limitation on how much posing you can actually do, and I have seen some notices of people breaking the joint again, so just be careful with it. Now look, as far as a character, I'll tell you right now, I enjoyed her in the show. There was one annoying thing, and I'll tell you off the bat. This constant crossing of her arms. I don't know if the character did that in Rebels or whatever TV show, Clone Wars she was on. So maybe that's why Rosario Dawson was replicating that constant look, but it got annoying on the show. I know it's a pet peeve, and I can't believe I'm spending time telling you guys this, but every time she would cross her arms, first of all, it looked so forced. It just didn't look natural, and it would just distract me, because it was just like she was strutting and trying to do a pose. So yeah, that kind of was a little annoying. But look, story-wise, the search for Thrawn and the attempt to try to stop Thrawn from coming back, it was good enough to still allow me to overlook that bit of a pet peeve. So what are we getting here, right? You're getting the typical, you're getting hands, you're getting an alternate faceplate, you're getting a kind of diorama base, which we'll look into a little bit, and then obviously her different swords, which are, sorry about that. That was definitely a faux pas. Her lightsabers in the multiple kind of categories you get. One thing that's interesting is kind of the attire that she has, and it's we'll get into that for the figure. But for now, let's jump into the accessories as we normally do, and we're going to take a look at the hands. So look, hands pretty standard here. You get one force pose hand, and then you get the other ones that are meant to kind of hold the lightsabers in place. From a paint application point of view, really decently done with that more orange kind of skin tone, and then the wraps are done well as the guards on the back of the hand. They do have that distinctive kind of it's not a metal look for her, right? There's a little bit more texture to it. Then you get her lightsabers, right? She does have the dual ones. She has the longer one and the smaller one, which again, right, I picked up on this later, which again shows you how unfamiliar I am with the character overall, but it does create that kind of Japanese samurai feel to the swords, right? The long sword and the longer one, that used to be used in feudal Japan, and now here they've translated to a long lightsaber and a smaller one. So great detailing, right? The white blade is very interesting. It's a unique feature that we don't often see as well. Now, from a diorama display base, look, we've seen the round base itself multiple times. The top surface is just a sticker, right? So it would have been nice to have something a little bit more textured there. It does take up some space, but it does give you that kind of ruined diorama element at the back, right? And it's just kind of tabbed in. It gives the figure a little something extra, so I'm not going to complain about it. But it's not as breathtaking as it could be. So now let's jump into the sculpt, and look, from a sculpt perspective, I think it's definitely an improvement from the pictures I've seen from the 1.0. It's definitely there's much more of a likeness to Rosario Dawson there. Again, right, the eyes, Hot Toys kills it with these. You're probably sick and tired of me saying this by now, but they look almost like glass. They look real, which definitely makes you enjoy the figure a little bit more because it does look like a total reduction of the character that you have in 6 scale. So paint applications look great. The I think they're the Leiku, right? Nicely detailed. There's a texturing to them as well to create that kind of feeling of skin and skin fold. You do get the alternate sculpt as well, which is the angry one. It's fine. I do feel like it loses the likeness a little bit to her. It's still there, but I think I would definitely prefer the other look. But it's nice to get that. And the way it swaps out is you do have to remove everything. So it's not the most complex mechanism, but listen, it's a nice alternate to have. From a display option, it gives you different options. Same thing with the eyes are great. The texture here, especially around the nose and all the expression results in a little bit more detailing on this. So Hot Toys did a great job here. So now let's take a look at the overall figure. And this is where, now there is a cloak, which we'll see too. The cloak is fine, but it does cover a lot of the great details of her clothing. Now what you're seeing here is, first of all, the tailoring, phenomenal, right? Now, we're also getting that gray and white kind of look that she uses in the latter part of the show, which is great to have that alternate look if you do have the original release as well. What was interesting here, and I was looking at the Shin figure previously, and I also looked at the Balin. Those two characters look more like they're from, I want to say, kind of an English, or a European medieval time frame, right? From the tunics to the armored elements. Whereas Ahsoka has definitely much more of a feudal samurai look, right? Down to the footwear, right? And even the way that the clothing kind of fits on her. And then, of course, the dual lightsabers where you do have the smaller one and the longer one. So it's an interesting design approach. I could be completely wrong, and if I am, correct me. But it does have that feel. So I think it's interesting. I've also been on a bit of a kick with that show Shogun, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it, as an aside, highly recommend it. But I think that definitely gives the figure a little bit of a different perspective. And when you pair her up with Balin and Shin, it definitely creates a nice visual. Now look, as far as the figure, posability is decent. Like I said, be careful with those elbow joints, because even though they're reinforced with metal, they can be problematic and susceptible to breaks. I've seen the posts online. Clothing isn't very restrictive either, and she does hold a pose well. The Leiku can be a little restrictive, but they do have a little bit of give to them. Now look, I'm not showing you the light up lightsabers here. I think we've seen those all at this point. And with the dual ones, it's just, maybe I'll do it at some point. But again, I don't think it brings much to it for me. Because I think with the lights on, it's a detail that's hidden a little bit. So look, figure is great overall. I think aesthetically, she's a beauty, right? The likeness is there, the overall looks are there. The dual lightsaber is always a plus for me, right? Having something a little bit different, and I think the white blades are great. So would I recommend this figure? Absolutely. If you're a fan of Star Wars, and I think Ahsoka has a huge following because she was Anakin's apprentice. And as a figure, she looks great. Just surprisingly not the most posable of figures. Even though the clothing isn't restrictive, there are some limitations with the joints. And while the body is a nice silicone as well, I do worry about breaks in the long term. But look, great figure overall, great appearance, and a great addition to the collection, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. So let me know your thoughts, and we'll touch base on the next video.